Recreate is an invite-only Minecraft server featuring a ton of modded Minecraft creators. And in this episode, I decided to grind out a ton of progression stuff so that I could get to a point in the game where I could do all of the fun stuff without dying. And if you watched the last episode, you'd know that I did that quite a lot. Actually, an embarrassing amount. So today, we get into villages, we get into crops, and we get into wood farms. Plus a whole other rabbit hole of Create mod stuff that you'll see throughout the video. So without further ado, let's get into Recreate episode 2. Like and subscribe and enjoy. First on our course of action for today was taking down the string duper that I made at the end of the last episode, because Theo might have told me that it was a very big illegal no-no. Hey Theo.
Hey, hold it, buddy. Hold it, pal.
What's wrong?
If you use the string duper, I hate to be the bearer of bad news.
What the?
I'm gonna fuck you up. I didn't mean to. I think I just broke everything.
And like any good raccoon would, I stuffed all of the illegal string that I'd duped into a chest for later use. After that, I continued setting up the small Create mod workshop that I'd made in the last episode. More specifically, the crushing wheels, so that I could finally crush things. But something came up incredibly quickly after that. In order for crushing wheels to work, you need a ton of stress units. And the little farm that I'd set up simply was just not cutting it. So, with my wand of symmetry in hand, I got to work on kinda my first proper Create build on the server. That being my multi-layer crop farm. With it, I had a massive supply of nearly all of the crops in the game, and the whole thing was running off the back of a 128 sail windmill, and luckily plenty of stress units to run my stuff in the meantime. With my newfound crushing powers, I crushed up some wheat into flour and made it into dough and then baked it into bread, giving most of that bread to my villagers, who I'd later find out weren't positioned correctly, so all of the bread that I gave them went to waste. I am going to cry. Before I found that out though, I needed to find a way to access hell itself, and so I flew my plane off to find some obsidian. This though is where my death streak comes back to bite me. It's truly never ending. I joined a call with my friend Shabloom, and at this time, was just showing her some of my new awesome flying skills, and might have gotten a little bit too cocky. For some reason, I decided that I would try and pilot my plane through a forest. On the ground of said forest? Like, what was I thinking? And like it was bound to, my plane eventually got so beat up that it just fucking exploded, leaving fire everywhere. Here's the kicker though, most of my shit survived. The only casualties of this explosion were of course me, and both my wand of symmetry and maxed out diamond pick for the second fucking time. Pick's been destroyed once already. The same one that was a replacement for the other maxed out pick that Stamio had given me for blowing it up initially. You just couldn't write this. And after that happened, I was about to ask Stam for another IOU, but then I realized giving him that much power was probably not going to put me in a good position on the server. So I remembered my glorious Canadian king Nick A30 told me, never back down, never give up. I don't know why I turned American there. And so I decided to properly grind out villages and spent the next couple of hours before I went to sleep for the night refactoring my villager breeder so that it actually worked. Might have made an ethically questionable pit for the children to fall into via a water stream, and then decorated said pit to look like a nursery so that I could feel better about my exploitation of the working class, but that's not really that important. After the villages in the nursery had grown up, I promptly made stalls to put them into and spent the rest of my damn night getting mending, Fortnite 3, and a couple of other enchantments. But none of them were efficiency 5 yet, so I just had to go to bed because it got that late that I wasn't willing to ruin my sleeping schedule over this. And lucky for me, as soon as I woke up, I called my friend Pickle and got to work again. He immediately told me that I could use the carry-on mod to pick up and place down villager workstations and get it done like 5 times as fast as I was doing before. And within 10 minutes, I had got my hands on the efficiency 5 book. The only problem was, it was 64 emeralds, and I just didn't have that kind of money yet. Who do you think I am, Stamio? Nor did I have a zombie to infect them with, but I already think I might be on some kind of server watch list for my treatment of these villagers. I literally made a pen for them. But plan B was to set up my first wood farm and use the Fletcher trades in order to make an excessive amount of sticks to convert into emeralds. And so I did just that. That farm is way too efficient and still to this day overflows my storage. So I'll have to deal with that in a couple episodes time, but what it is good for is profits, baby. I set up a line of Fletcher villages in stalls right above the old ones and started trading until I had 64 emeralds. And finally, I could get my pickaxe back and I could just name it Subscribe to G Outros instead of Subscribe to Stamio. I decided that it'd be great to get into Create enchantment industry, and I haven't mentioned it yet, I made a small tank with the Create mod that was connected to a disenchanter, which you can stand on to drain and store your levels. Super handy for someone like me who constantly dies. But the real use of this thing though comes when you craft a printer, as these things can be pumped with liquid experience, and so long as they have enough to do it, they can print out enchantments onto books. My mind was blown when I found this out in Create Adventures, so of course I'm going to use it on the Recreate server. And naturally, I use this feature to get multiple really good tool books, as well as 2 Silk Touch ones, my shovel and my axe. In the meantime, I got a farmer villager so that I wouldn't be stuck eating bread and could finally heal easier using a golden carrot farm. Well, I say farm, I am just kind of exploiting another member of the working class. But this same villager sold suspicious stew, which would be super useful for a project that I've got coming up pretty soon. After I'd sorted out all of my tools, I thought if I wanted to use them, I was going to need easier mine access. And that's when a great idea struck my head. I used a small downward drill to make a big gaping hole, which anyone on the SMP could have access to. Little did I know that within that hole, there would be a ton of skulk and an ancient city. But at the time, I didn't know that yet. And before I could find out, I was called over to Theo Monte's base. He was being really weird in chat. And before I knew it, I witnessed the first Dirt Town infestation firsthand. There were so many silverfish, and we had to deal with all of them fast. If you want to see how we dealt with that, go check out Theo's video, because I'm not really going to cover it very well here. But the reason that there were so many is because Theo had spent hours setting up the server's first experience farm. Create contraption which would mine cobble, smelt it into stone, put the stone into infested stone, and mine that stone using displacement to create swarms of silverfish. And like any good sugar daddy, in return he allowed me to use his XP farm whenever I'd like. Though we don't have sweeping edge on this server, so to save myself from carpal tunnel, I decided to make my own setup later in this episode. But you'll see that. Anyways, after I made my way back home, set up a water stream down into my massive hole, along with some catwalks so it could look, you know, create moddy or whatever. Little did I know the carnage that this thing would cause. This is when I found the ancient city, but newsflash, Yadros is a big baby and did not want to explore that thing yet. So I ran away, and after I came back up, I did some more villager work, and then logged off to go to London for the weekend. Yeah, I was that afraid that I had to flee to the south of the country. Anyways, the weekend passed, and I was back. I had an overwhelming urge to do villager stuff, and do villagers I did. I made a third layer at the very top, which would house weaponsmiths, toorsmiths, and armorsmiths, giving me easy access to diamond armor. And to streamline my stick profits, I decided to use the saw from the Create mod, which allowed me to get 50% more planks from the logs that I was harvesting, which then through a belt went into 2 mechanical crafters, turning them directly into sticks. So that I headed up the mountains to mine some more iron because I was running low. Then I realized if I put raw iron through a crushing wheel and then washed the crushed raw iron, I could get redstone as a byproduct, which was a super handy discovery. And, you know, crafting with nuggets really isn't that bad. I sure do hope that later in this episode that does not become an issue for me. After that, I was feeling pretty good and decided to go and find some lapis because I hadn't actually enchanted my armor yet. Before I could even find any lapis, I would find instead probably the most useful discovery of this episode, a massive iron ore vein. Holy crap, that's like not even as big as some of the ones on this server, but thanks to my Fortnite 3 pickaxe, each block in this massive vein gave me like 1 to 3 iron, which I took home and crushed to get tons of experience too. Although, subtle foreshadowing on my part, but washing every single one of these stacks filled my inventory with iron nuggets. Guys, I think there's some iron nuggets right there. So much that I had to create like 4 extra chests around me just to store all of them as I crafted them into ingots and then into blocks. I did the same with the redstone, but at least we got this amazing musical number from it.
I wash my ores back and forth.
I wash my ores back and forth. I wash my... After I finished washing all of those ores back and forth, I compacted everything I got into a new mineral chest, which was loaded from the get-go. But even after all of that, I realized, yeah, I didn't get any lapis on the trip that I was meant to be getting lapis from. As great as all the iron was, I needed lapis very badly. And somehow, even after all of that urgency, I got sidetracked again and thought, hey, I have a ton of sheep, but only 1 cow. So I thought I'd be the server's first animal rights activist and take one of the baby cows from Schlottburger, a burger joint that will open up later in this episode. So, you know, keep watching. I saved that baby before it could be turned into, well, you know, while I was taking him, Stam showed up and just thought it was best to not ask any questions. Hi, Sam. I'm just, you don't need to mention this. I'm saving a little cow.
Are you saving the cow from the Schlottburger?
Yeah, I'm saving the cow from the Schlottburger, the big evil mega corporation that's gonna take. I'm an animal. This is good though. He's learning how to deal with my antics. All of them are. After fleeing that scene, grabbing some lapis, and finally getting the story straight with Stam, I took the cow home and set up 2 small animal pens, which is way better than the hole in the ground that they had before. So you can't say that I'm not technically an animal rights activist. I know the villager pen might sway that, but using all of that lapis that I stole from spawn, borrowed, I managed to get feather falling on my boots and protection 4 on the rest of my armor, but only on a book because I did get protection 4 on a villager. Feather falling 4 was from an enchantment though, so you can't say that I didn't need the lapis. And just as I finished that, I was invited to spawn by Shell, who wanted to give me a tour of his casino, which I 1000% didn't have a peek at the day before. but this thing was so cool that he didn't even let me record it. I'm sure that you'll see it eventually in his own video. After the tour though, me, Charles, and Blockrat, who joined up during the tour, yeah, I know I'm a trendsetter, took a trip to the Schlunker, a hidden area below Charles's farmhouse base. What the hell is this? What? Oh my god! What the hell? Which was a safe house to save him from Zeroshi, who is a bit of a menace on the server. But once we'd had a tour around the Schlunker, I decided that I'd take them all to my base so I could give them a look around. While we were on the way, I fell like 60 blocks in the nether. Ah! No! No! Oh! You know, thanks to my new Feather Falling 4 boots, I was fine. And when we got there, I gave them all a tour, as well as some enchanted books as a souvenir.
Please, Charles. Please take my book. I love you, Charles. My glorious Swedish prince.
And as a thank you, they helped me set up the cod pond, which literally only exists because I had way too many buckets of cod from villager trading. I don't have any other explanation for that. Speaking of trading, after they left, I did it for an ungodly amount of time to get the XP that I needed for enchanting yet again. It's time to add protection 4 to my armor. After so long, I realized I had hardly any inventory space, and all of my chests for this entire video have just not been sorted out very well whatsoever. I've been suffering in silence. So I decided that finally, a base extension was due. So built a huge drill to go into the back of the head of the skeleton and create a huge corridor all the way through the mountain, which can contain a ton of little automations since I'm too lazy to finish my base and make, you know, factories for them, and a little primitive startup storage system. It didn't need all those objectives. Why did I write down all those objectives? It's not automated yet, but it really doesn't have to be right now, so I don't really have any worries there. And then after that, using all of the free space from where the chests used to be, I set up a cutesy little makeshift bedroom, 2 beds, blue dye, with my now named dog Bonnie and Clyde the snail, but as I was trying to put him down, he may or may not have suffocated in a wall, so we don't bring up Clyde. After all of that was done, I decided it was finally time to upgrade my backpack, which had only 1 row of slots for my entire gameplay so far. And so I got myself upgrades to the gold level, and as well a crafting upgrade. And then with all that newfound space, and since I had some more space to play around with, I thought it'd be fun to go onto another mining trip. And so I got super lucky once again and found an open cave with veins for both copper and gold. I promise I didn't hack those in. I'm on survival mode on this server, and like I did with the massive iron ore vein, mined every single one of them, washing my ores back and forth once more. After that, with my newfound riches, I decided to get into my first bit of automation, starting with a big-ass drill to clear all of the space for even more machines. The first of which I printed with a schematic cannon and was a decent cobblestone generator to supply various automation lines that needed cobblestone. After that was up and running, I needed to figure out a way to get a good supply of lava. Before I could start, I was invited to the opening of Schlopburgers.
We're going to have a bit of a grand opening right now.
Is it drill?
What?
Perhaps.
The burger joint co-owned by Charles and Theo Monti, former of which gave an epic speech to commemorate the occasion.
So, as the wait, what did I? Let me just quickly. Can we just?
As your glorious king.
As the CEO, COO, Vice President, and President of the Schlop Burgers Company, I welcome you today to this grand opening of our first location, Schlop Burgers. Physical location, no ghost kitchen.
Gotta. You know what? To be fair, yeah, no beast burger situation.
We're all good.
We make the burgers on spot.
We use no slaves. Keep that in mind.
We shall fight on our beaches. We shall lay with our beaches, and we shall eat the burgers.
Yes, we will, baby.
Definitely didn't have to say the entire thing twice because Pale Pez decided to log in after he'd finished.
Oh, Paris just joined.
Quick, take the burger back! Everyone get the burgers back!
Okay.
Like nothing happened.
I want nothing but absolutely incredible natural reactions from both of you, okay?
Okay.
This is acting 101.
What? Really Paz's fault, though. After the second speech, though, we finally entered the restaurant, and we were met with, well, it's certainly an artistic choice, that's for sure. Definitely one of the design choices of all time.
Whatever you do, don't go to the kitchen. That's all I'm saying. You're not allowed to get
I didn't know that was the kitchen! Luckily, the food wasn't as hard to stomach as the decor, but as the burger hit my buds, an idea struck. What if I started my own restaurant? And so, I'll have to keep that idea in mind for the future. After the grand opening, we went to the beaches and Per pulled out his huge cannon. I just thought he was happy to see me, to be honest, and shot a load into the ocean. A load of cannonball. And then once he put it away, I took him and Theo to my base for a quick tour, and they both loved the experience. Well, all but Theo, who I may or may not have put into my gaping hole while he was tapped out.
I didn't know it went so far down. I swam for a bit and then I
Wait.
Girls!
Wait.
Don't let me go back down there!
After he'd been down there for a distressing amount of time, I went down to check on him, and, well...
Let us go. Yay. Don't put me down.
He did get his revenge, that's for sure. Theo swam past me and took the water away. No! Giving me a fat taste of my own diet. fucking bollicle medicine. After I finally made my way back up, I found out that he'd graffitied my walls with Walter White edit. Why? What is the point? I wasn't about to let him get away that easily. I tried to crit him and combat logged, and while I was tabbed out myself, he put me back in the fucking hole. What the fuck, Theo? He told me to think about what I did. I don't know why I made him American, he's British. And then he just fucking left, the asshole. Then when I got out of the hole for a second time, I saw that the JoJo was lying. So I flew 10,000 blocks in an attempt to find his base. And finally, I did. Flew down and jump scared him.
Oh my god!
Hey, JoJo.
It's Gout. How you been, man?
And immediately we talked about the distressing amount of illegal experience that he had. And then to distract me from the crimes he committed, we started talking about our plans for confectionaries.
Hey, I've been told that I shouldn't make chocolate.
Why?
Someone in my chat said, oh, you should make chocolate. And I was like, that sounds fun. And someone else in my chat went, don't make chocolate. Gout has so many plans.
Oh, no, yeah, okay. I do have a little bit of a candy business that I'm gonna get into. But you could be a friendly competitor if you want. I guess we'll just have to see how that plays out. But while I was there, I also saw a huge lava pit and realized that when you're making an infinite lava pit with Create, it doesn't need to have source blocks. What? This was perfect for the setup that I had. So with that in mind, I headed back to my base after lightly threatening Toodles, JoJo. Now I have your base marked. I can mark it on my my nuke strike area for the end of the season. And jump scaring the JoJo.
Talio!
Oh my good lord, Gout.
And then went to sleep with a brand new plan of action for the next day. The next morning, I got right ahead with my lava pit plans and drilled out a massive hole to entirely fill with lava. The funny thing is, after I filled up the entire thing with lava, I didn't do it correctly and apparently drained the entire thing with a hose pulley as I was trying to set it up. But on my second attempt, disaster struck. As I was filling the top layer with lava for a second time, I just fell in. And I thought because of my golden carrots that I'd be fine. I was eating them, swimming towards the edge, and it just got a bit too close to home. I was left on half a heart and logged out in my lava pit. I was in dire need of assistance, but luckily for me, hello. Pail of Pez was the rescue team, or rescue man, that I needed. He made his way over to my distress call and cleared out the area with netherrack. And he even placed down some lava for me to log back into, so that, you know, I wouldn't be on fire and my stuff wouldn't pop everywhere. And in a marvelous first for this series, it worked! I didn't die for once! And better yet, Pez told me about the magma backpack, of which I made immediately because it gives the user infinite fire resistance. This thing was just super useful for this project, and, you know, will just be super useful for the server right now in general. And with the help of my new fire invulnerability, I got the pump working and was immediately given an infinite supply of lava. I definitely didn't drain it before. That didn't happen. This is the first thing that I did. And directly after that, my mood was boosted even further while I was in a call with Pickle because I found out you could pick up spawners. Diamante!
You need to take that home, bro.
So I came back from my brief nether trip with a blaze spawner in hand. Whenever I needed blaze burners now, I could just immediately go over and right click, even though it does spawn blazes in the corner of my base, but you know, we can overlook that. After everything was in place, all I needed was power and to start my andesite production line. And so, using the new infinite lava setup that I had, I set up a level 9 steam engine right next to my cobblestone generator, which gave me an extra 150,000 stress units and would be super useful for powering everything around the base, plus speeding up everything that I already had set up. And with everything going my way, I thought it'd be a good time to go and visit Lemon Sky Ryan. This was like late at night for me, and he had built a whole ass base in the meantime, fit with a huge windmill, fine art, and its own Create workshop. And like I said, though it was almost midnight for me, with how well the day had been going and how awesome Ryan's build was, I was inspired to begin work on my andesite factory, which was simple enough, but to be fair, I did fall asleep as I was doing it, and I did have to finish it the next morning. But after tons of tinkering, I got andesite automation down. Plus, I had automated cobble being crushed into gravel, then washed into flint and iron, and the iron was split off on a tunnel, half of which was being made into iron blocks, giving me a steady flow of those, and the other half was being turned into andesite alloy blocks. And again, my good spirits did not end there. Since I was in such a good mood, I decided to take a page out of JoJo's book and break the law. I set up a slow XP farm using experience to my own levels endlessly. And luckily, because of my endless gambling, if I never stop, I'll have a steady flow of experience forever. And finally, to wrap this episode out with the thing that was probably in the title or the thumbnail or whatever, I've got to finish the Gout skeleton. And this part was actually so laughably easy compared to everything else that I'd done in this episode. Automating andesite was so good for this build, but take a look at this. Without further ado, I present to all of you the Gout skeleton. /GoutShed 2.0. Leave your name suggestions in the comments below. Why I keep accidentally alliterating. Why do I keep rhyming? Is that the right word? And I had to show the only people on the server at the time, but only one of them could show up. But if you want to see how that unfolds, go and check out episode 1.5. Yeah, they are a bit out of order because I needed slop, but you guys will live. Anyways, with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching this episode. Like and subscribe for more Recreate. I am having a blast on this server. The next episodes will probably be a bit shorter and more interaction focused. This is just me getting all of the slightly boring shit out of the way so that I can do the fun shit. But again, with all of that being said, toodles!